The correct answer to the question, who is the worst game developer, is 343 Industries.
Halo is dead. Halo Infinite is dead.
You cannot let a team toil and mess around and goof off with your flagship IP for almost a decade.
When you're going to assemble a couple of hundred people to build a game, and they all love that game, and that's the main reason that they're coming there, you get this instant shared passion.
Theatre just flat out doesn't work. This is a feature that worked flawlessly in Halo 3 back in 2007.
I have almost no respect for 343 as a studio, because all they've done is tarnish the legacy that Bungie left them with.
Shoes, no shoes.
We've all heard it a million times now. Hell, even I've done my fair share of Infinite was a failure and Infinite can't recover videos and tweets. But you know what? Season 5 is pretty damn good. Is the game 100% fixed? 100% back? Halo's back? No, of course not. Halo Infinite itself still has plenty of issues, and Halo Infinite as a game still has a very big uphill battle to go. But Season 5 truly felt like the first season where I had excitement going into it since the game dropped back in November of 2021. Now, there are no denying, many parts of the season, like prior seasons, should have been there at launch. You know, extraction's a game mode that's been in previous Halos, cross-core helmets is something that we've all been talking about since the game dropped. The whole "it should have been there at launch" thing is a very popular phrase, and you're not wrong. They should have been there at launch. But at this point, it kind of is what it is. And rather than regurgitating that point ad nauseum, I found it better and more healthy to sort of just check out the new content for what it is. Some of it's cool, some of it's decent, and some of it is kind of mid, but I find just looking at the new content for what it is gives it more of a fair shake than if I constantly just go, well, it should have been there at launch, and since it wasn't there at launch, I don't care about it. So what all did Season 5 add? Well, it added a pretty decent amount. We got 2 new maps, Prism and Forbidden. These are 2 new arena maps that both look absolutely amazing. I think it's worth noting that Season 5 did not get a new BTB map. I believe every season before this would split an arena in a BTB map, so I believe this is the first time that we didn't get a new BTB map in a season. Now, both Prism and Forbidden are fantastic looking maps and have awesome art styles. Both of these are currently social only maps, but they have said that Forbidden will make its way into ranked. I'm a little bit skeptical about that one because the map is pretty big. Both of these aren't your traditional kind of Halo maps. They dive a bit more into that style of Halo map that's a little bit different, which can end up really good. I mean, some of the greatest Halo maps of all time kind of fed off that, where they aren't traditional maps, but they end up playing really well in Halo. And I think both Prism and Forbidden have that vibe, where Prism is kind of hectic and you're in a cave and people can kind of hop out and get you from everywhere. And then you have Forbidden, which is a pretty big 4v4 map with a lot of jumps and a lot of spots that you can fall off the map. So it's much different than, you know, your average Halo Infinite map. And I've had a pretty decent time playing them in social, like I said. Very interested to see how Forbidden plays in ranked, a little bit skeptical about that. One thing I did think was kind of weird is currently neither of these maps are in the new Ranked Slayer playlist. Not the end of the world. I just thought it's weird because we're still playing stuff like Forest from the previous season, which I didn't love. So I would have found it fun to play the new maps in Ranked Slayer, since that's more of like a testing ground for maps than Ranked Arena is anyways. But yeah, so along with the new maps, we also got the new weapon variant, the Bandit Evo rifle. And while this gun isn't very different than the regular Bandit, it's just a Bandit with a scope on it, with some balance adjustments to make it shoot a little bit faster. This gun's actually really awesome. So it's become the default starting weapon for ranked. Instead of battle rifles, you now only spawn with the Bandit Evo. And the big thing about this is it's a single shot weapon. If you were a Halo 5 kid or a Halo Reach kid, you know what that could mean for kind of the skill gap. There's a lot more opportunity to outplay someone now in a 1v1 gunfight, and I think the big key about the Bandit Evo is, unlike the battle rifle in Halo Infinite, which is an absolute laser across these arena-sized maps, the Bandit Evo isn't. It kind of has its sweet spot, and outside of that, it becomes a lot more inaccurate and a lot harder to completely melt someone across the map. I think this makes rank play a heck of a whole lot better, and I've really been enjoying this new weapon in ranked. Most people that I've seen online have been enjoying the weapon too, though there are obviously the detractors. Some people prefer the battle rifle, and that's fair. I'm not saying we should get rid of BR starts forever, but I do kind of like the meta shift right now. I think it's a lot of fun, and I do think it's going to make HCS a lot more fun to watch. It's making ranked more fun for me to play. Turning on someone and perfecting them after they were a shot or two up is possible, where when everyone had battle rifles, kind of felt like you would just die there if they were a shot or two up. I've had a fair amount of situations where someone is a couple shots up on me and you just break their ankles and completely dumpster them with the Bandit Evo, and it's a lot of fun. I've also been playing this season on mouse and keyboard, which in combination with the single shot starting weapon feels great. Am I claiming it's better than controller or it's the best thing in the world? No, but it's fun, and that's kind of where I'm at with Halo Infinite, so if it's fun, I'm all in. And I know other mouse and keyboard players have talked positively online about the Bandit Evo rifle. It's a lot of fun to use on mouse and keyboard. I think it's pretty viable, and I've really been having a good time using this weapon. Ranked also got a brand new game mode, which is Extraction, which is the return of the game mode from Halo 4, and for the most part, it's pretty similar than how it was in Halo 4. In Ranked, you have the 1 point, and basically how it works is one team kind of captures the point or like puts down their little thing, and then they have to defend it for a certain amount of time. If they do, they get a point. If the other team is able to come and recapture the point, then it restarts and they start capturing it, and it goes back and forth until one team can fill up the entire bar, getting the point for the site and moving to the next one. Overall, I do like Extraction. It's a pretty good game mode. I did really enjoy it in Halo 4, though I will say with how they've changed King of the Hill in Halo Infinite, it's pretty similar now. The only difference in Ranked King of the Hill versus Ranked Extraction is Extraction you don't have to stand on the hill. You just capture the point and then you can stand off of it and defend it, which actually makes it a lot easier to hold versus King of the Hill where your teammate does have to stand in the hill. Now the big difference is when you break a point on Extraction, their progress totally resets. That isn't how it works in King of the Hill, so it is a little bit different. There are some intricacies to it that are different, but they feel kinda similar. That said though, I welcome the new game mode. Something fresh in Ranked Arena is welcome in my book because we've been playing the same maps and mostly the same modes for all of Halo Infinite, so I'm all on board. Plus, I'm totally cool with bringing cool game modes back from the previous games. You know what other game mode should come back from Halo 4? Ricochet. I think that would be really fun with Halo Infinite Sandbox, or maybe not with all the desync, but it could be really fun. I'd like to see it. Another big thing that Season 5 brought is the cross core for helmets. You can now use any helmet on any of the armor cores, and it's pretty cool. I know the people that are big into Halo customization absolutely love this. I've been seeing all sorts of cool Spartans posted online. The Reddit for Spartan Drip is popping. Everyone's showing off their cool customization that they can create, and hey, it's pretty sweet. These days, I'm not huge on the customization. I really don't mess with it too much, mostly because I don't buy any of the microtransactions, but I know for some people, just being able to customize their Spartan more intricately is reason enough for them to play. And if we end up getting full cross-core, like, you know, we might or we've been asking for, that group of players will be even happier. But I think right now with the helmets and the armor coatings, which I believe now work across the board for all ones going forward, that kind of group of Halo players is pretty happy. They also got blessed with the flood customization in this season, which looks sick. You can get some of it out of the battle pass, some of it you can obviously buy out of the store, but all of it looks really, really cool. Later this season, we're also going to get the Mark V armor core, which is going to look sick, though it is unfortunately going to be a premium item. Kind of bummed by that one because I'm a huge fan of the Halo CE armor, but it's not really worth dwelling about that much. It is what it is. This is a free-to-play game. It's full of microtransactions. It's modern gaming. You kind of get what you get. If it upsets you, just don't pay for it, but I think it will probably sell in droves. Another thing that I haven't paid too much attention to is it seems like bundle pricing has gone up again. I saw some people talking about that on Twitter. That sucks. I haven't dove too deep into kind of what's going on there, but I did see some people talking about it, so I thought I would mention it. And last but not least, for the big things that Season 5 has added so far, we got Forge AI and a whole slew of Forge improvements, which were actually kind of just shadow dropped. So for Forge improvements, they've now taken the size of a map, which used to be 2 megabytes, and made it 10, so they 5x'd basically the file size of the map, and they also made it so you could do a ton more scripting, and they added new Forge canvases, and they added new items and stuff, so Forgers are eating good right now. And on top of just that, we have AI in Forge, something that the Halo community has been asking for since probably Halo Reach, maybe even at the early days of Halo 3. Now right now, we're not even a week into the season, so it's going to take some time before we see the really cool stuff come out of the Forge improvements and come out of Forge AI, but you can already see the potential. People have been making their own versions of Firefight, which is really fun. I've seen some cool PvP VE style modes, you know, like Warzone. I saw someone talking about making a MOBA. I've seen people make Pokemon battles. The Forge Falcons released their Battle Royale, and all of this stuff is so cool. I'm really excited. The community of Halo makes the coolest things, and I think there's a ton of potential here. There is kind of one elephant in the room though, and it's that the custom game browser still kind of sucks. The custom game browser browser today is the exact same one that dropped, I think, almost a year ago now, with basically no improvements. It still errors out a lot of times when you're trying to join a game. You can't join lobbies with your friends. You all have to join separately. On top of that, the sorting and the filtering is all really lackluster. And I think this all combined is really holding back forgers because people just aren't playing in the custom game browser. Right now, it's a bit more populated since we just had a brand new season. But before the season dropped, the custom game browser was pretty bare bones. There weren't that many people in there because the experience in there just isn't that great. Even if you can get into a game, sometimes the host just ends the game and you're out of luck and stuff like that. So I really hope to see a full UI overhaul for the custom game browser, get some much needed improvements, and let the forgers shine. We've seen games like Fortnite absolutely benefit from user created content. We've seen games in the past with mods absolutely blow up, like Dota with auto chess, and various other games where if you give the community the tools and the browsability, they will make absolute hits out of your game. Now, it is worth noting that we talked about it a little bit. The netcode and stuff of Halo Infinite, that's the one thing that really hasn't improved in the game, and this directly impacts all of these things you can make in Forge, because as it gets more intensive, that desync, it becomes a little bit more noticeable. So I think, unfortunately, while forgers can make absolutely sick stuff with scripting and Forge AI, they are still fighting a game that is a little bit broken at the very core, and that's kind of just what it is today. Now, could 343 come in and do a massive overhaul and improve that netcode? Maybe. They haven't yet. It doesn't really seem like that's in the cards. It seems like mostly what we're just getting is new content. But if they were to overhaul the netcode, not only would the forgers and the custom game community be absolutely thrilled and benefit, everyone would, because the matchmaking experience would also improve, and that game-to-game experience would feel better. You know, you wouldn't have the teleporting, you wouldn't have the getting shot around walls that Halo Infinite is notorious for, and that's probably the one major con that Halo Infinite still has since its launch. A lot of the other criticisms that were there at the launch of the game have actually been improved over time. That's the one that really unfortunately hasn't. Now, Season 5 also has some other stuff coming later in the season, probably in like the mid-season update. We're gonna get Firefight King of the Hill from 343 directly instead of from Forgers, which is gonna be sweet. They confirmed it has a variety of 343 made maps and Forge maps, so I'm pretty excited about that. We're also getting a Halo 3 throwback event, which is a collection of Halo 3 themed maps, and I don't know if it's gonna be classic movement or if it's gonna be ranked or not, but I won't lie, regardless, I'll be there playing it because, you know, I'm nostalgic for Halo 3, and you slap some Halo 3 nostalgia on anything and I'll probably be there, so I'm pretty excited for that one. We also have some operations this season. These are like the new and bigger revamped events. I'm excited to see how those kind of turn out. I hope they end up pretty cool. And then we also are getting a new equipment called the repair field that does what it says. It repairs vehicles and it repairs Spartan health and stuff. It's basically like a health regen from Halo 3 but on crack, since it can actually repair vehicles and whatnot. And so I think this one will be pretty cool for BTB. I guess it's probably the one BTB related thing that we might get this season, so I'll be interested to see kind of how that plays out, if it ends up having much impact in BTB, which it probably will, but it'll be interesting to see. So how has Season 5 performed? Because that's the question, like, is Halo Infinite actually recovering? Is Halo back, right? Well, the truth is Season 5 is actually doing pretty well. It outperformed my expectations by a good bit. So on the day that it dropped on Steam alone, it had 18,000 concurrent players, and if you combine Steam and Xbox according to Halo.api, at one point it was almost at about 50,000 players, and so that's pretty dang good. On Steam, that 18,000 concurrent players was the most the game had since like April of 2022, so it had been a long time since the game had seen this many players, and we hadn't even hit the 10,000 number in quite some time. Another good thing to see here is it seems like the players are kind of sticking around. So while that first day was like 18,000 players, currently as of recording this video, there's like 15,000 players, and it seems to be hitting 15,000 players a minimum on like each of the days after the first day. So I'll be interested to see where this sits in a week or two, but right now Season 5 is actually performing pretty well in my opinion, much better than I actually expected. So some of that hype that you've been seeing around Twitter and around the community and that more positive outlook, I do actually think we're seeing those numbers impacted in the game. It's not purely just on Twitter or purely just like a content creator that's being positive. I think the community of Halo Infinite is showing that there is a bit more of a positive reception towards the game because like people actually showed up and played it. I've had a ton of comments on both my Twitter and my YouTube videos where people are like, yeah, this is the first time I've played since season 2. And some of those people still have the same issues. Netcode is still pushing some people away. Other people have other issues, but some people are like, yeah, it's gotten a lot better. There's a lot more to play. It's a lot more fun. And so I think it's cool to see some of those people return. The other thing, and it's not as important, but Halo Infinite actually did hit number 6 on the Steam charts for top sellers this week, which is pretty cool. It was up 84 places since the previous week, which is absolutely hilarious. But basically this is measured by like how much revenue is spent in a game. So with the new season coming out, with the new flood bundles, it makes sense that people are probably spending a lot of money in the game. Halo players, for as little of us as there might be still around, we love to spend money in the store. So does it mean that much? No, not really, but it's just cool to see. I mean, how often recently have we seen Halo Infinite positively reflected on any chart? You know, it's just a nice change of pace. Instead of seeing some news article about how the new season did nothing, you actually had news articles about, you know, good performance, which is kind of nice to see. So the question kind of is like, in conclusion, you know, is season 5 any good? Is Halo back? Is Halo improving? And I mean, it's kind of hard to answer a lot of those questions. Obviously, no, like Halo isn't truly back. I mean, we aren't at the heights of Halo's peak or even anywhere near the peak of Halo Infinite, but it does seem like Halo is slowly improving. It seems like 343 is finally kind of getting these seasons out in a reasonable amount of time. They have a reasonable amount of content, and the people that are still playing the game are enjoying it. And it also seems like people are actually returning and maybe actually sticking around to play a little bit. So there does seem to be a positive trend with Halo Infinite. Now, is it gonna re-explode and end up being huge again? I mean, probably not, right? They probably did miss the boat, but I mean, who knows? If they were to drop a big game mode like Firefight later this season, which could be pretty big, or some of those rumored things that we've heard about in a later season or something like that, the game could possibly have a true revival, whereas right now it's more of just, you know, some upward trends. Or, you know, this could all just be building some positive momentum going into the next Halo game, which is also very much a possibility. Obviously, I don't think you can go out and straight up like claim Halo is back, but I think Halo Infinite for itself is doing pretty well. It seems like it's improving. Like I said, 343 kind of seems like they have some things under control. They kind of have a handle on what they want to do, and there's a lot more positivity toward the game, both from content creators and the community as a whole. Now, obviously, Halo Infinite still has its haters. Hell, I've been a Halo Infinite hater for quite some time, but even I've kind of come around, I think mostly just because I stopped being bitter about the game, and while I don't play as much these days as I did when the game came out, I come back and I check out the new content, you know, and I think that's the best way to play Halo Infinite today, rather than playing it day in and day out and getting frustrated by those things that piss you off. Show up when things seem fun, show up when you want to play Halo Infinite, show up when you want to play ranked with the boys or custom games with the boys, and stuff like that has made my Halo Infinite experience a whole heck of a lot better than when I was getting on it day in and day out regardless and just being frustrated. So let me know in the comments what you thought of Halo Infinite Season 5. This video was a bit more casual. We're probably going to go more ham on the next few videos, so expect maybe some bigger breaks in between, but expect some absolute bangers. A huge shout out to the patrons. We couldn't put out these videos without you, and I'll see you all next time.